4.4, 4.4. So a lot of this 4.4 is all review, so I'm not going to do too many. I want you to try to do all the other ones by yourself. So factoring, really what factoring is getting it back to its original states. So this is an example of something that would be factored. And I'm just using random variables. So when you're doing this, you have to figure out the numbers that multiply to get this last one. That also, so multiply, that add to get the middle one. So if I write out all the factors, I'm going to do this first one in a long way. So I could have 1 and 20, 2 and 10. Now a lot of times you are thinking through these numbers in your head. You're not doing this the long way. It's going to make your life so much easier if you can do this multiplication in your head. So you're looking at what two numbers would add together to get 9. Now because this is positive, that means both of these are positive, and since this is positive, both of them are positive. So these two add together to get 9. So when I break it up, I have x plus 4 and x plus 5. And that's my final answer. I'm going to do that one, and I'm going to do F. Why? Because my name's Angie Frickman, and that's my initials. So if for some reason the leading coefficient, so that's your x squared. If there's a negative in front, you want to factor out that negative. You don't want to get rid of it completely because it's still going to be important to have. So now you're thinking about the numbers that multiply to get negative 32. Now one thing to be aware is because this is a negative number right here and this is negative, they have to add to get a negative. So one number has to be positive and one number has to be negative. So if I'm thinking of numbers, since this is kind of high, I'm going to think of kind of high numbers. So I'm going to say, what about 1 and 32? Well, that would give me a negative 31 if I add negative 32 plus a positive 1. That won't work. What if 2? So that would be 2 and 16. Well, that would work. So I have to decide which one should be negative. So when I'm writing this out, I still have this negative out in front. I'm going to write my 2. I'm going to write my 16. I have to think now, how should I put my positive negative? Well, it's a negative 14, so the larger number should be negative. So that would be my answer. So I want you to do all the other ones right now. So before we actually get into any factoring with that, we always want to look for our common factors. So basically, what's the largest thing that we can take out? So if I look at this first one, again, I'm only going to do 2 here. If I look at this first one, they both have a factor between 6 and 9, and they both have a factor in n squared and n. So the largest factor I can take out would be a 3 and an n. So if I divide out a 3 and n, I'm left with not a 3, just kidding, a 2 and an n, and then a 3. So this would be my common factors for the first one. How do I know if it's supposed to be factored like the problem 1 or problem 2? Well, if I look at, I'm not going to do F this time, but I'm going to do E. So first when I look at this, I have a factor between 4, 8, and 12. I cannot take out any x's because this does not have an x. So 4, 8, and 12 is what I'm looking at. I can take out a 4. So I take out a 4, I'm left with x squared plus 2x minus 3. Now if you can, and if you're left with a standard form here, so x squared x number, when this happens you can continue factoring. Two numbers that multiply to get negative 3, that add to get a positive 2 would be a positive 3 and negative 1. So this 4 is still out in front, and then I have x plus 3 and x minus 1. So I want you to do B, C, D, F right now. And the last type of questions, what if in standard form a value is a number, but you can't take it out? So I'm going to do A and B. So if I zoom in on A, so now this is where I'm going to be guessing and checking. Okay, so first I'm going to see, is there anything I can take out? No, there's nothing I can take out here. So now, not just looking at the C value, you're looking at the A value too. You're breaking that down for your different options, and you're breaking down your C value. So these are all my options that I could have. Now, I'm honestly going to be guessing and checking. So when I'm doing this, the only two options I have for my A value to split up is a 2 and a 1. So no matter what, I for sure know that I will have these two factors. Now it's a matter of guessing and checking which one of these will work. Now one thing, this is not a huge number, so I'm going to kind of start in the middle. However, I for sure am not going to check this one. And the reason why is because when you know at the very beginning, you cannot take anything out of your problems. You shouldn't be able to factor anything out when you plug something in. So if I plugged in a 2 here, let's say, these 2's would have something in common. If I had a 6 here, the 2 and 6 would have some factor in common. So I for sure know that I cannot So actually, for sure, no, I'm not going to check this one. Now my 3 and 4, I'm going to check that one first because, again, that's not a huge number. So one thing, I know I'm going to check my 3 in this spot because the 2 and 3 don't have a factor in common, my 4 in this spot. So these both are positive, so I'm going to put a plus here. And how do I actually check? You check your outside, you check your x values, and you check your insides. So this would give me an 8x, and this gives me a 3x. And if I add 8x plus 3x together, that gives me my 11x. So this would be my final answer, because I got it right away. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. We're so awesome. So if I go to my next one here, B. Again, before you do anything else, you want to see what can you take out here. 8, 8, and 6 all have a factor of 2 in common. You do not get rid of the 2. You just make sure that it stays there. So now this one is a little bit different. So my factors for my A value is either 4 and 1 or 2 and 2. Factors of 3 are just 3 and 1. Now, because this is negative, one of them will have to be negative and one will have to be positive. So we could write down both if we want to. And when I'm guessing and checking, so this 2 is still, no matter what, it's just going to hang out there. The 3 and 1 is not going to change. We only have an option for one factor for my back. So I'm going to check my 4 and 2, or 4 and 1 first. So I check 4 and 1. Remember, the A value should have the x's with it. I don't know. Let's just try to put a positive here and a negative here. I really don't know if that's going to work. If I check my outsides, that would give me a negative 4x. Check my insides, that gives me a positive 3x. When I add those two together, I get a negative 1. This is not a negative 1, so I'm going to have to guess and check something else. So I have my 2. Don't know what's going to go there. Let's keep that a positive 3. Let's keep this a negative 1. 2 and 2 might be an easier one to check because no matter what, it's going to be the same on both. So check my outsides. So this is negative 2x. Check my insides. It's a positive 6x. If I add those together, I get 4. If I go back, I need a negative 4. I don't need a positive 4. So if I get the same number but the opposite symbol, I can just change my symbols around. So my final answer, if I want to check it, I can, would be my 2 out in front, my 2x, and now this time I'm going to switch to be a negative 3 and a positive 1. So if I guess and check, this would give me a positive 2x minus 6x, which would give me a negative 4. Bing, bada, boom, I am done. Hardest part of all these problems is your mental math. If you don't know your multiplication facts, this does get difficult. But I believe you can achieve all greatness in your life. And you're going to have a great day today. I just know it.